Right back at you on a game day. The Real Kyper and Bourne Show, Leaf Hour edition of our program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz with you for the next 2 hours. We'll get you to puck drop. 7 p.m. if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's right.
All right, better than the 7:30. You like 7:30?
I do.
Buy you an extra half an hour?
Yeah, kind of get home, get
Grab a bite
settled.
to eat.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I'm not complaining, buddy. I'm I almost died. I'm happy to have Leaf playoff hockey.
We are live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. We are hot. Our show is hot. You know how hot it is?
Tell me.
The good people at Starter Canada will not allow to be shown up from the likes of Craig Conroy or Don Waddell, who sent us jerseys, and they're like, we'll get something for you to hang up.
Is that not just about the prettiest jacket
got flipped.
ever seen?
It got flipped.
I
It
think
got
you
flipped.
got to go logo forward.
Yeah, I think you got to go front logo, Sammy.
Yeah.
That's fair. The
It's
back
right.
just says Toronto Maple Leafs on it too. So.
It is beautiful.
If the Leafs beat the Sens in this series, I will be wearing that the show after.
And I think Kip and I were saying maybe at the end of the year we raffle it off, auction it,
for sure.
giveaway.
Yeah, raffle it off to me.
So our thanks to Norm and Aaron over at Starter Canada.
Love it.
Ladies
and,
buckets too.
give them credit because it's a wonderful reminder of what a great time of the year it is right now to suck up to us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So listen, we're at this thing for another 2 months.
Let's go.
Lots of time to send us stuff.
Send us stuff.
We'll put it up here.
Yeah,
Look
we
at
are
this.
good.
Ottawa, Toronto
We'll talk
starter
about
caps.
it. We'll talk about it. We'll put it up.
We are good to go. In the meantime, let's get you ready for a Toronto Maple Leaf Ottawa Senator Game 3 in their series as it shifts over to the Canadian Tire Center for the first time since what, Sammy, what did you have? Game 6 in 2017.
Correct. Against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And if you'll remember, that was the conference finals. And then Game 7 in overtime. Chris Kunitz, double OT, shot it past Craig Anderson.
Do remember that.
Yeah.
And this,
All I remember in that series was this pass by Eric Carlson.
That was the first
probably
round.
Went 12.
Against the Bruins.
yeah.
That was the first round.
That was
Hall of Fame pass.
still is the greatest saucer pass
Head high.
in the history of the game. Behind the net,
140 feet.
over center ice,
Yeah.
flat.
Flat as a pancake. Made Kirill Kaprizov
Yes.
look like a...
Not bad.
Yeah, taped
A walk in the park.
Yeah.
And if you'll remember correctly, Mike Hoffman received that pass and then went one-hander on
One-hand
it. Yeah,
finish.
and one-hander lander in the playoffs.
How don't I see that as much as
No,
I
that should be like a top 5 highlight ever.
Right.
We got a real fun show here. In about half an hour, Kevin Bieksa is going to join us. Busy guy over at Hockey Night in Canada, but promised to stop by and hang out with us for a few minutes before he gets ready for a big night. On the national program, we'll have Rob Brown, a favorite of ours, to discuss the Edmonton Oilers and how bad is it right now in Edmonton.
Oh, boy.
Can you ever count that team out?
Maybe.
And sometimes the answer is yes. I
And
don't know if now's one. We'll talk.
We'll also sneak
Staff.
in Marty Turco.
Oh, yeah.
Always
Dallas.
fun.
Dallas up 2-1 now.
Always
Holy
fun with Marty.
smokes.
In the meantime, we do hear of a lineup change for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Out is Nick Robertson. In is Max Pacioretty. Not overly surprised, are we, JB?
Yeah, I'm overly surprised.
You are?
Really, really surprised.
Really?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I thought for sure David Camp would be the next man up.
Mhm.
He's been a part of it for years. He's a center. Makes $2.5 million. He played 75 games this year, and he's not in. So yeah, I thought he'd be next in. But if you're just going to change out one winger, put one winger in, makes some sense.
What do you think?
Totally agree with what he said. I know that's not scintillating radio, but I just thought with some of the matchup stuff that you're going to have to deal with tonight, that it's going to be tougher just in terms of some of the defensive zone matchups that you have. Having an extra centerman that's good defensively, I thought would have made a lot of sense tonight, and putting Patches in for his first game in this environment feels like a lot to ask, but we'll see. We'll see.
I like a bigger, heavier guy to go into Game 3 in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't think the Leafs have anyone in particular to match up against a Brady Tkachuk.
Mm-hmm.
Not many teams do, to be honest with you. And that's not necessarily the thinking, is that you need someone to match him, but you need somebody going in Ottawa who can hit back. And that's unfortunately not Nick. And if Nick's not showing signs of putting the puck in the net, which unfortunately hasn't happened for him yet, then you're better off taking the sure bet right now, and that is a Max Pacioretty. And there's guys that hit, but the Leafs do not have many guys that can hit to hurt. And I've seen this guy in the first quarter of the season. He hits to hurt.
Look at these.
Okay, and this will be an element that they'll need.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with Max Pacioretty coming in tonight.
You know, the thing is, too, is it's not like you're taking out Nick Robertson for a guy who, if the puck hits his stick, he's going to chip it in the corner.
Yeah.
Pacioretty can shoot it in the damn net.
Yeah.
Make no bones about it. And he's got a pretty good track record in the postseason to scoring goals, too. So I think for them, this is not a massive step down offensively, and it's a big step up physically. You go through this Leafs lineup, and now Ottawa has the last change. Austin Matthews, big guy. Nyes is big. You know, Pacioretty's big. McMahon, Lorenz. Like, it's a big group there now, and I feel like it makes a lot of sense when you sit back and look at it.
Feels like this is, I mean, we laid out this exact scenario with Max Pacioretty early in the year that we talked about how, you know, you hope to get 35 regular season games out of him, and he comes into a playoff game, and in a 2-1 game, he has one of the goals and he hammers somebody.
This is actually
I feel like we laid this out. Yes.
Dream scenario for his season with the Leafs.
Yes.
I did not see him on a PTO coming in and having that physical element that he showed us. And I think we all knew that, like, there's no sustainability over 82 games.
Yeah.
But if you could get this guy in a small window this time of year, healthy enough, and how long has he been off? Like 2 months?
February 8th.
I think Luke Fox tweeted out he hasn't played a hockey game in 75 days.
There.
Yeah.
I mean, so well rested, Max.
Well rested.
No excuse to turn away from burying somebody tonight.
And he's coming off a tweak. You know, like it's not like it happened in a game. Like he just kind of tweaked something. So.
Okay, let's go to Max on his thoughts of jumping into this series. Clip 1 on our Kyper's Clippers.
Done it before. I was a little bit younger, though. But I feel confident. I'm ready to go. I've put in a lot of hard work. A lot of really good resources here we've spoken about time and time again to help you get up to speed without playing a game. And I feel like I'm ready to go.
Watching the first. There you go.
I believe him. I mean, this guy's notorious for taking care of himself, working hard, putting in the work after injuries. You know, what kind of run could you get from him if you only give him 12, 13 minutes a night or something? I like this. You're up a couple of games. You got a chance to let him get his feet under him and found money if he's good.
What was the part that you didn't like? Just the mere fact that they're rolling right now on the wins?
That's what people will say, for sure. I mean, don't mess with the winning lineup, and that Robertson has been a dog on the puck, pretty darn good, and it does feel like a guy who, if the puck comes to him, can shoot it in. But I think a lot of people just don't think you should change a winning lineup. And I am the opposite of that. I think you play whoever you think gives you the best chance to win every night.
I don't think, I think it was nice to give Nick Robertson the first two. I think he deserved that down the stretch. Like, he played a ton because they were injured or whatever. He took advantage of his situation. He played well, and I think he deserved the first couple games. But he had one shot in 2 games. Like, I know he had an assist in the first game, but I don't know. Like, I didn't see enough to keep him in there. So I love that old school hockeyman Craig Berube didn't stick with the you can't change a winning lineup and actually made a significant change to the lineup.
And how fast? I mean, Pacioretty, a good skater. Domi's fast. McMahon's fast. A couple of guys really big. A lot of guys can shoot it in. I actually really like the look of that line.
Okay, let's get Craig Berube's thoughts on why he's bringing in Patches.
A veteran guy coming into a game here. It's going to be, it's going to be tough here. It's their crowd, and just wanted to make that change, get a veteran guy in there, bigger guy, heavier.
There you go. There's his breakdown.
That's it. Yeah, it's not complicated with Berube ever.
No.
That's just fine. We might as well just finish off the Berube on Patches stuff and get clip 2 on how Patches handled the layoff.
Well, I mean, it's tough, for sure. But that, you know, he's handled it fairly well. Things happen. You know, you can't control a lot of things that happen. I think he, you know, for sure he wanted to be in there and playing, but he's got the opportunity now. And, you know, to me, he's worked hard, kept a good attitude for the most part. It's not easy, especially for a guy, you know, he's been around a long time, veteran guy. It's always harder for those guys.
Can I tell you, I take away from that Pacioretty is a little bit perturbed at not being in sooner. You guys hear that at all?
How can you not, right?
Yeah.
How
good attitude for the most part.
And I think
I didn't get that the first time I listened to it, but now that you mention it in that context, it does change the way I listen to that a little bit. For sure.
salary cap probably kept him out of the lineup from playing a couple of games too. And, you know, that's just that fine line where until we see him play tonight, whether or not if a 2-month layoff, 2.5 months will play into tonight, or can he just have that veteran savvy that he can come in and still find a way to contribute or make it make one big play, one big hit that can alter tonight's, or just sit there and go, yeah, that stupid salary cap kept him from getting a couple of games in, and maybe that would have made a bigger difference on him. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. And you wonder individually, like, he doesn't seem like he wants to retire from the NHL. Like, he was very effective in the games he was in. I'm sure he would have liked the chance to play more, to show he could do more. I do agree that the cap probably kept him out towards the end of the year, and maybe he was frustrated by that. And so perhaps a little pushing from behind the scenes is part of the reason he's getting the nod over camp, that he's wanted to work his way back in. Yeah. In which case, I say, great. Love a guy who wants to be in. No problem with that. All right, so towels tonight in Ottawa, heart over hype. That's the rally towel. What is that? Does that mean something? Hype? Who's hype? Are the Leafs the hype? Or are people hyping them?
I do kind of feel like that's a perfect description of the series so far. Heart over hype. The Sens were a super high hype team coming into this. People thought they were going to upset them, and the Leafs have played with a ton of heart and won 2 games against them.
The Leafs are the heart team. That hasn't happened in a while.
I mean, it's crazy to say, but they have been.
Yeah.
I did not get that sense that a lot of people were picking Ottawa. Did you?
What? Yes.
Well, Sammy, you're a little different.
I mean, go to. I just went and checked our Sportsnet picks. Multiple people picked the Sens.
Did they?
At least 4 people of all the people they did picked the Senators.
Star Valley did for
15?
sure.
Yeah, like people were picking the Sens. I mean, Star Valley, like,
it
was a sexy upset pick, no question.
It was.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there anything better than beating the Leafs?
All right.
Hey,
you know,
better?
I think if you really put it in perspective, and we've talked about this, and we've had multiple experts, guests come in and say that there's maybe 8, 10, 11 legitimate teams to win a Stanley Cup. Ottawa wasn't one of them.
Nope. I agree with that. No one, I didn't have them in that pocket of teams with a legitimate cup chance. Now, they can win this series, win tonight, and all of a sudden it's 2-1.
Everybody's closing out a sweep.
Yeah.
So what's your point here?
My point is like, you're super fanish, and I don't think
they had hype.
I don't think the upset hype or the big sway of people believing that Ottawa.
I think this is revisionist. I think this is very
revisionist.
Sam
on that.
You are.
Yeah, people picked Ottawa to win this series for sure.
Man.
I would say
40%
of people picked Ottawa. Am I too high? Is that unreasonable?
I do think that in the ether, that Sens fans were confident because of the regular season record. They lost 5 games in a row to the Sens.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
I got to tell you, like,
I think it's playing out the way we probably would have expected it.
I would have hoped. I didn't expect this.
The better team, the deeper team is up 2-0 now. Who knows? This is professional sports at its finest,
and
right?
It's the Leafs.
And it's
the Leafs.
Stolar's looking great today. Who knows what tomorrow brings? Who knows what a key injury brings? Who knows if anybody steps up and becomes a hero for Ottawa? But, like, Ottawa's, they got to come out. They got to score a couple of goals early, I think, or get a lead for a change and play with the lead. Like, a lot of things have to go right for Ottawa here to get themselves back in the game.
You know, one thing that's going to happen, I talked a little bit with Anthony Petrilli. He wrote some on like the line matchups. They'll probably try to get the Pinto line against Matthews to free up the Stützle line against Tavares Nylander.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. So that's a bigger ask now for Tavares, Nylander, and Holmberg, is it? Playing a pretty darn good line. You know, that Tkachuk, obviously we know what he can do, and they control a lot of the play. And then can the Matthews line score on the Pinto line, dominate the Pinto line, and make them regret that matchup? I mean, I like Michael Amadio the way he's won his cup in Vegas, and he's become a good pro. But like Marner, Matthews, Nye should be able to handle that line and make them regret a little bit the Stützle against Tavares.
So going on the road, what you're saying is could potentially free up the matchup a little bit for the Leafs instead of sort of chasing it at home and chasing the Matthews versus Stützle line matchup, that it kind of frees them up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. But I also think that it's going to be a much bigger ask on the second line, which I think we've had concerns about in the past.
Yeah.
Holmberg there, probably the right answer.
Yeah.
If not McMahon at some point.
All right, let's go to the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs on his big line, Matthews, Marner. Nice.
Yeah, they're closer. I mean, Nick, obviously things like everybody else that you're looking at that they can do better. I mean, they're tough matchups with Stützle line. It's a good line. So I think they're doing a good job defensively and checking and doing a lot of good things. You just got to keep going. You just got to keep working. I mean, goals will go in, but, you want to score goals in the playoffs. It's about getting to the net more than anything. I mean, you're going to get opportunities for sure at times on broken plays and things like that, but get to the net. That's where the goals go in most of the time in the playoffs, the greasy goals around the net. But overall, I'm pleased with that line, the job they're doing. I'm not too worried about Matthews.
I love that line.
That's encouraging.
I would say that it's pretty awesome from a Leafs perspective that you're up 2-0 in the series and Matthews and Marner have combined for 1 goal,
They're
right?
5-5.
At 5, I think it's.
Yeah. They've spent a lot of time not in the offensive zone, though.
Right. No, it hasn't been awesome.
Right.
But that's, I think, to Sam's point, they're not far worse than the lines they're playing, right? We think at some point that should sort of stabilize. They should look like the line that we know they are. Hopefully that comes around for them here a little bit.
And a few offensive zone face-offs.
I don't think they're going to get more. I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah, not bringing
I think
no
it has
David
to.
Camp. Wow, no David Camp. I mean, it's going to be the same situation.
You don't want to put Tavares and Nylander
I know,
there against the Stützle line.
But at the same time, these guys are some of the best offensive players in the world. I mean, you got to put them in. You can't. I get it if you get another 2-0 lead or you're up 3-1, 4-1 is game one. But you can't just hold on. You can't just coach to protect or sit back. You got to play. You got to put these guys in a position to think, win a faceoff, get to the net in a split second, not go 200 feet to get back to the net.
But the problem is, you haven't felt like a Domi Robertson line. You can't start them in the D zone at all.
No.
Although they did in overtime.
And they won.
But
it's a winning formula, Justin.
Yeah. But that is not something they want to do, right, Kip? I mean, that's not a trustworthy D line. Tavares, Nylander typically hasn't been one, particularly when Domi was on their wing. Mm-hmm. So you kind of run out of options at some point of who you feel comfortable doing it with.
Yeah.
And that's why
Does
David
Pacioretty change that a bit? Yeah, well.
And the other thing is, I know, can you have, you're comfortable now with Scott Laughton. So where's the room for Kempf?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Laughton can play wing, right? Like, I think you took Yarncroc out, made Kempf the centerman. You go Laughton, Lorentz on wings with Kempf.
I think if they have any issues tonight, I'm with you in game 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they would make that.
But I think that, to me, like Pacioretty for Nick Robertson doesn't upset the apple cart as much as
it's positional,
Laughton
one in, one out.
and Kempf. That is a major that changes the rhythm up a lot more than just one guy in, one guy out for some size.
Yeah, it does. And it's hard to find Domi's perfect spot. And people hate to hear that because he scored the OT winner and he's whatever. But it's like, if you put him on the Tavares line, now you don't think you can start that line in the D zone. You can't put him on the fourth line because he's wasted there. It's tough, so you got to find, how do you maximize everyone?
It is kind of funny. Not funny, but I don't know what the word is. Yeah. But like, this is a team that won the division.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we've never really felt like the lines were
They're
ever.
up 2-0 in a series. We still
They're
have
up
no
2-0
idea.
in the series,
Right.
and you're like, we're still looking for like that perfect feel of 12 forwards.
Yeah. No, it's you're right. It's fascinating. Maybe it's a good thing though that they have some flexibility. Like there are guys, Domi can play wing and center, and Lawton can play wing and center. Lorentz can actually play wing and center. You have some options with some guys, and I think maybe that's why it's kind of challenging. Also, an unwillingness to try things in the regular season, which I yelled about a lot.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything more on that? Because the Battle of Ontario, Sammy, is about to come out. I had to ask you guys a question.
All right, let's have it.
So when I was younger, as a kid, I clearly had no exposure
like
to
6 months ago when you were younger?
like when I was like in high school, when the first Battle of Ontario
what was
was
that,
happening.
a few years ago?
Yeah, 5 years ago or so. But like I didn't have the exposure to like takes about stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it was a better time.
What a better time. And like I am way too chronically online. So maybe people that are just like, live their lives, just listen to us on the radio, watching us on YouTube, whatever, like download our podcast, aren't exposed to this. The pearl clutching about Anthony Stolarz and Ridley Gregg has been out of control, boys. Oh my, have you ever watched, do you even like hockey? Like, yeah, he slashed him.
Are you talking to Mark Lazarus?
I'm talking to
Athletic
I saw 100 bad tweets about it. I saw 100, like, give me a break. Cover another sport. Like, there's plenty other sports that don't allow that.
I just saw the Laz tweet, and I like Laz a lot, but
It's like, oh my God.
Do I need to call you a ambulance?
Basically, and
I
it
just,
should be a suspension.
And it's like,
I'm excluded from this.
The Sens fan,
I can't comprehend those comments.
The Sens, way too much exposure to what these Sens fans. I'm like, oh my God, you don't actually believe that. You can't be a fan of this game and believe what you're reading and writing.
But hold on. If Ullmark had done that to pick a guy, Domi.
Sure.
You'd be flipping out right now.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's a penalty. I'm upset that it wasn't coincidental minors.
You'd want 3 or 5 games and they'd get nothing because it's the Leafs. That's
you
your
think
side.
that's what? Think that?
4 years I've done.
I absolutely.
This with you.
I will tell you, there's definitely some truth to what you're saying.
I think Kit might be right.
But you're not gonna. I'm not calling for a suspension for that. I don't want that out of the game.
Right.
When a guy who crashes into your knees the game before is in your blue paint, you're eligible to hack him. They can call a penalty on it. That's what makes hockey great.
What did I tell you in game 1 when Ridley cross-checked Tavares? Like
you want
you don't
in the game.
If that's the way it is, then you just want that benefit to come back to you. And it did with Stolarz there. He got some licks in, but you know what? So did Ridley Gregg on Tavares. Even up. Let's move on. That's the game.
Yes. You are a hockeyman.
And you like hockey too.
I love hockey.
Just tell everybody that wants to change whatever they want to change about the game.
I'm way too online. I just I read stuff. I open my phone and I read things that make me exceedingly mad all day long.
It's good for your brain.
Oh, really good. Yeah, for sure. There's nothing.
Constantly stimulate your fight or flight.
Crap.
All right, let's get head coach Travis Green's thoughts on returning home.
They're going to be excited. You're always excited in the playoffs when you play at home. Much like Toronto, you could tell there was a lot of juice in their game to start the game, and the crowd is loud. It's, you grow up watching playoff hockey. It's fun, too. It's exciting, and that can't be forgotten. So I'm not worried about our guys embracing it. I think one thing is we got to make sure that we keep our emotional control, things that we've talked about since the start of the series. I thought we did a much better job in Game 2 with our discipline. And, it's been well documented. They got a good power play, and we've got to make sure that we don't take a lot of penalties.
Bueller. Bueller.
Someone's saying the Leafs have a good power play in the playoffs. That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Control our emotions. Travis does it well.
It's not LA Kings, but it's good.
We should go. We should go soon because we have.
Hold
Kevin coming
on. I'm so excited. You had a Craig
Savard.
Berube comment on Mark Savard. I've not heard it.
Oh, it's very fun.
But I assume it's fun. And
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a listen.
Yeah.
Well, we ask the players to be composed, and we talk about it all the time, so that goes for us too.
Oh.
Sometimes it's difficult.
Hey, Mike, how about we chase cars, huh? Does that sound like fun?
Does that sound like fun?
That's such a
chase
public
cars.
shaming.
Wouldn't be no
Oh,
fun.
I love Mark Savard.
That's funny.
Spike.
Well, we asked the players to be composed.
I know you don't care, but I just can't wait to see what the crowd's going to look like tonight. That's my number one most excited thing about this
Half
game.
Leaf fans.
No way.
No?
It's got to be. If they have any civic pride in Ottawa, it's got to be
Sammy
80-20.
setting them up to fail.
If you're a season ticket holder and you sold to Leafs for this game,
Sold out.
you don't get your season
They should
tickets
have
for
them
next year.
blacklisted
Yeah.
for seasons the next year.
Yeah. Imagine you're like a season ticket holder and you sit in your section that you usually do, and you get there and your buddy Johnny, you're like, oh, Johnny's. Oh no, it's a
Johnny's
Leaf fan.
Leaf
He
jersey.
sold it. No, like
Oh,
he'd be
yeah, he
so
should like
pissed.
tattle to. He should be such a narc.
Mr. Anlauer. Be like the guy at the media conference yesterday.
Direct line to Anlauer.
No, be like the guy at the media
Johnny sold
conference.
his tickets. Anyway, we gotta go.
Oh, we gotta go.
Okay, we'll go. We'll go. And
Yep.
Kevin Bieksa joins us after the break. We'll get into more thoughts on who he now considers the best sixth defenseman in the National Hockey
Oh yeah, I
League.
like that line.
We'll tell you who he thought when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the program. Busy night in the National Hockey League, helping us get ready.
We got him in Leafs hour.
Kevin Bieksa. No. This is national
Leafs hour?
stuff.
That's what we're talking
This
about?
is you're in the Leafs hour.
Well,
right
we
now.
couldn't squeeze you into the national hour because you're like deep in meetings with
Really
your
important meetings.
world secrets, eh?
Yes.
On it's like science stuff.
But they're
eh?
optional for Elliot. but everyone else has
Does
to be
Elliot
there.
still crawl in like 5 minutes before the show starts?
Yeah, Elliot's Elliot. He's not changing. So, it's always a fight in the makeup chair. It's always a fight in the hair chair.
Yeah.
And I just go in there. I just sit down with my coffee and I just sit back and watch it. And I watch the
They're
arguing
early.
and the negotiations back and forth.
Well, hey, thanks for dropping by. Regardless,
Pleasure.
Kevin Bieksa, former NHLer, Hockey Night in Canada. How surprised are you in terms of the Leafs being up 2-0 and perhaps maybe still not seeing like the best side of them so far?
I think you look at the style that Craig Berube was brought in to implement, and it's being showed in the first two games. It's not the sexiest. It's not the flashiest. It doesn't create the most chances and shots on net, but it's effective and it works. And if everybody buys in, they're a tough team to beat. So I think Ottawa was playing some really good hockey coming into this series, and they've kind of been stifled a bit. You see 5 guys in the house. You see all 60 defending very well. Pretty simple with their breakouts, just advance it and then you need the big guns to score. So far for the Leafs, I think it's been exactly the recipe to success for them.
How do you like that, having elite talents, like Matthews and Marner and Nylander and those guys, and having them be a dump it in, dump it out sort of team? Is that utilizing them properly, or is it really just the best thing for playoff hockey? Keep it safe.
Well, I don't think Marner and Matthews are playing that way. I still think they're playing their game. I still think Nylander's doing his thing. I don't see them dumping the puck in any more than last resort like it would be in the regular season. I think you give those guys a bit of a leash. You have to. You give Tavares a little bit of a leash, but the rest of your team has to be predictable and get pucks in deep and play that zone game. But I still see the top guys making plays. Yeah. Now, you look on the other side of the equation in Ottawa, and I see Stützle running around. I see Stützle dumping every puck in, and it's just not his game, right? It's not where he's the most effective. He needs to skate the puck in. He needs to make plays. So there has to be a communication by the coaching staff. Like, don't completely change your game to a dump and chase guy in the playoffs because that's not exactly who you are. Yeah, there's a time to get the red line and get it deep and get a change when you're hemmed into your zone, but you still need to make plays. And I think Ottawa has to make a few more plays in the neutral zone. Certain guys.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, we know what line matching does this time of year. If you're Travis Green right now with Stützle at home, last change, how important is it to maybe get away from Austin Matthews?
Yeah, I think you want Pinto if you're Ottawa. Pinto at Matthews. Pinto's kind of taken that shutdown role. and he's done well with it this year. So you'll get that. I think it's pretty important. I think you chase it a bit. And talking with Newsy and Coach Lalonde, as Luke likes to call him, such a suck up. Luke,
oh, he really is. Yeah,
Coach. So Newsy
it.
Wants to be one of the boys. So Newsy, what he says, it's a constant balance of how much do you chase that line matchup versus throwing everybody out of a rhythm. So I think you early on for sure you chase it a bit if you're Ottawa. You make sure you get pintoed against him, and you give Stützle and Brady a favorable matchup.
It's been interesting because, I'm thinking back to when your teams were really good and thinking of the intimidation factor. So Ridley Gregg, Anthony Stolarz going at each other, kind of one of the stories of the series. And I think back to the old, like, Marchand on the Sedins and, like, that sort of moment. That felt similar to me, where how much do you want these guys to go back at the opposition when it's not their natural? Like, should Ridley Gregg, should he be going back at Anthony Stolarz when he's getting those chops, or teammates? How do you handle the other team trying to, rough you up like that?
As long as you can do that stuff and not throw yourself off. Some guys just play better that way. Max Lapierre played better that way. Burrows played better that way. Yeah. Some guys don't. Some guys get on tilt when they start doing that kind of stuff. Ridley Gregg, he's got a little bit of rat in him, the way he's played in the past and some of the things he's done. And I say that in a good way, right? There's another guy on their team that's got some rat in him in a bad way. I think Ridley Gregg has it in a good way. It's competitive, and he's kind of a thorn in the side. Now, I feel like Ottawa thinks that he's gotten, a little bit of punishment that hasn't been called. So I know they think that, hey, like, he's going to the hard areas, but Stolarz shouldn't get 3 chops at him. He shouldn't get 2 cross checks, 1, 2, that one. But this one right here, certainly after 2, Kevin, like, that one hurts.
Listen, I think Ridley missed an opportunity to just pop him at that point. Then it's like,
and that I didn't see that one.
Right? I'm like,
that's a freebie for you.
It's absolutely a freebie. This is the one guy that's probably in your heads more than anyone else in the first 2 games, and you've got every excuse to pop him at that point. Mm. But Ridley, like a lot of other guys, a little inexperienced this time of year. We know guys like Ridley can make a reputation and a career out of this time of year if to your point, you can kind of be in a space where you're not overextending yourself, but you're not shying away either. Like, there's a fine line. There's no going back for Ridley. He's got to go back to Stolarz.
What do you think Corey
at some
Perry's
point
doing in that situation, right?
Totally.
Like, yeah.
He's falling on him.
Him and Jonathan Quick, like, he's the reason why LA didn't win more cups, because of him and Quick, and him on top of Quick and pretending to follow him.
Yes.
If Quick chopped him, he'd turn around and he'd push him, like, not very hard, but you're right. I agree with you.
Ridley can't back down now, or else you look like that you're either scared or intimidated by him. But, like, you're in it, Ridley. You're in it now. Don't take that penalty. It's the fine line. But this is what guys like you gain reputations on.
There's like, people understand the game within the game, and the referees, like, when something like that happens. When the guy gets a 3 chops on you and it's not called, you get a freebie. And the worst case is it's going to be evened up. The worst case. That's why, like, as a D-man, I loved it when the goalie covers the puck and a guy chops the goalie, I know I get a free shot. As long as I don't go excessive and, like, hit him in the face with my stick, I know I get a pretty good lick, and the worst case is going to be 50-50. And we're both going to go to the box.
As someone that may have fallen on a goalie or 2 in my career, it's just not then between you and Stolarz. It's whoever else you suck in, right? And who knows what the reaction would be from a teammate or an opposition player. Now someone gets another lick in. They're penalized. You're not. There's a better chance of still a power play off of it, not based on you and the goalie, but everybody else around you. Like, you want to pull people. This is what people talk about, drawing players in and your teammates into the fight. And I think that's where Ottawa may have to go in Game 3.
And on home ice, maybe a little bit easier to do that.
Yes.
I think. Because, like, the referees react to the crowd, and when the crowd's loud in certain situations, you're like, oh, my God, what happened? And you're going to get the right reactions at home versus in Toronto.
So as they make their adjustments, how personally do you take it? Do you take a matchup? Like, if they say, we want to get you out there every shift against so-and-so, how personally do you take it about being in that person's ear, making sure they get nothing? Is that something that would have mattered to you, like it might to Ottawa now that they have home ice?
So we were talking about this last night with Ovechkin because I had a couple hard matchups against Ovechkin where, the coach would say, you're playing every single shift against him. I want you against him. And I remember, what do you think about Ovechkin? Should you let him sleep or should you go at him? Probably should let him sleep. Not really in my DNA. So I would go at him and I would chop him after the whistle. I'd push him. I'd cross-check him. He obviously wouldn't back down on 5-on-5. He'd still run me and everything. But the one time I knew I got to him, it was the third period. There was 10 minutes left. And he went out, I went out. And just before the puck was dropped, I saw him stand up and look around just to see if I was there.
Yeah.
And I was there and I saw him and I started smiling because I saw what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then he started smiling. And I'm like, he knows that I'm coming for him. He knows I'm not. So to answer your question, I think you take a ton of pride in that. Yeah. If you get a job, if Pinto gets a job and it's hey, if you shut down 34 and 16, we got a good chance to win this, as long as we stay out of the box.
Go, buddy.
Yeah, so I want to elaborate on that a bit because we talked a bit about the way that Berube has used Marner and Matthews. Very defensive. They've actually had, 8 D-zone starts, only 3 in the O-zone.
Yeah.
Well, Nylander and Tavares, the opposite. Do you like the idea of saying to your best players, you're going to handle this defensive load, you're going to go against Stützle, you're our guys, and you got to figure out the offensive side of it as well? It's kind of a tough spot to put those guys in.
No, I think it's trust, though. I think as a coach, you probably trust 2 lines in your D-zone, really trust 2 lines. And I think Matthews is one of the best 3-zone players in the world. Yeah. So I think, you look at Eichel. Eichel probably would be the same. He's an unbelievable offensive player, 100 points. But you probably want him taking a lot of the defensive zone just for that reason. So, and then, default, you have to put some other lines in the offensive face-off, but you trust Matthews is so good in both ends. I think that's why you're seeing him more. And you're seeing him on the PK as well.
Pretty easy, though, when you're up 2-0 in the first 5 minutes of the game. If the Leafs chase at any point and they got to start pushing the pace of play in the offensive zone, though, that's where Berube's got to push him a little harder here.
For sure. Yeah, and he will. I think he will. You'll see, if they're down, that you'll see Nylander or Marner or Matthews. You'll see one of them or all 3 out, or Tavares because he wins every faceoff. That's important.
What do you expect out of Brady Tkachuk coming down? He's the captain. They're at home. They're down 2-0. How hard does he have to push the envelope?
I think you see him physical early to get the crowd into it. I think you see him, though. Maybe you see a couple more scrums out of him. There hasn't been many scrums, but maybe he feels like he needs to get that out of the crowd and out of his teammates. I think you see him around the net a lot, obviously, and he's a pretty clutch guy. I think you see a lot out of him tonight. I think you see him protecting pucks down low. That's the one thing for Ottawa. They've done a good job once they get in zone and get the puck back. They've done a good job of protecting it and having some zone time.
I should ask you about that because that's the one thing watching the panel I know that Leafs fans were upset about is that, the one thing.
Yeah.
The Leafs win the game, and you guys talked about how Ottawa controlled the play. They run a play at 5-on-5.
Numbers.
Which numbers, and they absolutely did. How much does a team sit back once you're ahead, protecting the lead? How much do you attribute Ottawa's play in those moments to the Leafs saying, we're the team ahead, who, we don't want to push it, we're not trying to score anymore, essentially.
Yeah, it's a combination. I think it starts in the offensive zone. So when you're up by a couple goals, F3 is a little bit more passive. Your D, when, sometimes your D are making the walls hard, they're probably not going. And you're just living another day. You're backing up in your 3-man wedge as opposed to maybe making that line hard and keeping it in. So then it trickles down. So then they get the red line, they dump it in, and so and so and so. So, but I still think they're up 2-0, but Ottawa's still a good team. It's an even series, right? Ottawa could still easily get back into the series with a couple wins. So there has to be a little bit of respect there for the Leafs. They're not just going to dominate and walk all over Ottawa. Be happy winning the 2 games. Be happy that your power play is on fire, right? But if you want to dominate every facet of the game, it's not there yet. And it doesn't have to be. You just have to win 4 games.
I got to ask you about Allmark. A couple days ago, we were talking about him, and I said, if this guy was my goalie, he'd drive me nuts, because he's a very talented guy, and we've seen so many sides of him in this season alone. We've seen him really, really good. We've seen him at times not great, and then at times disappear for an injury. And pressure now to come in on a game 3. I think he got better. Obviously, he played a lot better in game 2, no question. But, you played with Luongo and, compare that intensity, or if if he had a bad night, giving up 6 like Allmark did in game 1, like the response of him or his demeanor. I just listened to him after game 1 like it was a walk in the park, bud, and you weren't very good. I mean, what's this guy got to do to prove to people that he's worthy of $8.25 million a year?
I don't overthink goalies. I'm not a goalie expert. I just say stop the puck. You have one job, just stop the puck. I don't care how weird you are. I don't care what your work ethic is or habits. Obviously, they matter. But you mentioned Luongo. I also played with Jacob Markstrom earlier in his career. I played with John Gibson and Freddie Anderson. So 4 of those goalies, all completely different personalities. Gibson was another guy that was kind of like, easygoing and like maybe didn't work the hardest in practice, but then he'd have an unbelievable game. So I don't know what the correlation is. Like goalies are just weird, man. Like at the end of the day, they are. Yeah. So at the end of the day, like his demeanor's different, and he's a really nice guy, Allmark, right? And he's making light of it after the game. Like Stuart Skinner was laughing after, when it was 6-2 last night. Like goalies are weird. Like they got a lot going on. Yeah. So like I don't try to understand them, right? I just say, hey, just stop the puck. Like give us a chance to win tonight. I don't care how weird you are, but just stop more pucks tonight.
Yeah, I mean that's all you can do, I guess. It is a confounding. I don't know. He's a little too casual in those interviews for Kip's liking.
Good luck trying to make sense of that though, like goalies and
doesn't mean anything. The big change the Leafs are making is bringing in Max Pacioretty. Hasn't played since February 8th. Robertson coming out. How do you feel about that?
I think they're just trying to get more guys involved because they think it's going to be a longer run. Yeah. Robertson hasn't played bad.
Been fine.
He's been okay. McMahon's been okay. There's a couple guys that you can kind of, if you want to add guys in. But I think that's more of, we know we're going to need more guys as we get deeper into this thing, and you can't let Pacioretty sit there too long. Yeah. So I don't think it's as much of a slight on Robertson as it is. We just got to get more guys, like not sitting for 2 weeks at a time.
Are you surprised how physical he showed us he could get earlier in this season?
Robertson?
Like, no, Max.
Yes.
Pacioretty. Like, we know when guys are trying to check you to get the puck, and then we also know when guys are trying to hurt you. Like, this guy hurt a lot of people earlier on in the season, which I didn't see coming at all.
Well, you're not in the league anymore. I'm not in the league anymore. There's a lot of guys that aren't in the league. It's easy, like I played against Pacioretty for the first 10 years. He wasn't doing that.
No. wouldn't even recognize that guy.
I just don't know why you wouldn't do it today, because there's usually no repercussions to doing that stuff. He's a big guy. He's strong. He skates pretty well still. Why wouldn't you run around today? Like, you don't have to fight anyone in retaliation if you don't want to. We know that. And it's super effective. The way Brady plays, Tom Wilson, they obviously fight a little bit more. But it's super effective. Like you're running, you're hurting guys.
But some guys refuse to do it.
I know, it's amazing.
Right?
It's amazing.
Refuse it. It's like you can make a lot more money. You can make a lot more money.
Like, what do you think of the evolution of some of these guys? So Pacioretty's one, but Corey Perry became a fourth line grinder after winning a Hart Trophy. Spezza came here in Toronto and played fourth line. I mean, Thornton tried to do it a little bit.
But he was always a prick.
But these elite guys, Spezza?
No, Perry. Perry always had that.
And Thornton always had that as part of their game.
Always. Never.
So you're not surprised.
They just pick their spots a lot more when you're scoring 40 and 50 goals.
You have it or you don't. Like, if it has to be drawn out of you or pulled out of you or forced out of you, it's not going to last.
I thought that was part of Thornton's reputation as a younger guy, was that he was too laid back, too casual.
He was, but he also still fought, and he had it in him, but it had to be dragged out of him. But I think it was there where some guys just don't have it, and some kids just don't have it in minor hockey. You're like, man, if you could just play a little stiffer, you'd be a hell of a player, and kids just don't get it.
So one of the things that we saw in Game 2, it was well documented outside of Max shooting in the net, was Simone Benoit stepping up, not only intercepting the pass, but making a brilliant play, which you called the best sixth defenseman in the history of the game.
No.
Ever. Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Can you get in the Hall of Fame as a 60?
But, like, that's a play that you would expect from Morgan Riley, not Benoit. Like, it was a big-time play.
I've seen his evolution. He was in Anaheim at the end of my career, so I kind of overlap with him just a little bit. talked to him a little bit. I remember talking about the golf tournament, and he's like, I'm going to do that Superman punch one day. And I'm like,
oh,
okay.
really? That was actually
That was probably 5 years ago.
And he
goes, I really like that Superman punch. I'm going to do it one day. Then he steps up to the tee and just smashes a drive 330. I'm like, geez, this guy's aggressive, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't surprised when I saw him try it. But I think he's one of those guys, and I'm going to do a little thing on him tonight. Like, he had to earn everything. Like, try out at rookie ID camp, try out at main camp, try out to get an AHL spot, try out to get an NHL spot. So he's had to earn everything. And some guys just get better. They just keep getting better. They keep figuring out the nuances of the position. They keep getting their skill set better, their reads. And some guys are up and down, up and down. Some guys are up and then way down. He just keeps chipping away. Yeah. He just keeps getting better and better. And as hockey guys, we love that. We love when a guy earns it and gets recognition for it. He wouldn't get that recognition in Anaheim. If he was still in Anaheim as a 6D, making those plays, like he went into the corner once against Brady, and it was like one little bump and got the puck off him. I'm like, wow, like that is invaluable. That your 6D can go out against their number one power forward and take the puck off him like that, no zone time out of the zone.
They didn't think he was tough in Anaheim at all.
Benoit.
He's tough, and I think he hits hard too. He's your perfect mold for a 6D. Like, is he going to throw a pizza up the middle once in a while? Maybe, right? But he's physical. He wins more than 50% of his battles. He's high percentage. Like, I love the way he plays.
So you've been, your son is playing now, and you've been coaching a little bit, I think?
A lot
of it.
I was all in, bud.
Yeah. So you're all in
Video.
coaching there. And so now it's
you're
funny.
You're a crazy dad then too.
Because you're
I look at all the kids as my kids. You can ask my kids. I never coached my son. He was a player. Yeah. Everyone was the same, but I'm done now. I retired.
So
do you
want to be done like with coaching?
I think I had a group for about 5-6 years. Yeah. Same core. And now they're all moving on to junior. I have like 8 of them that are already committed to AJ, BCHL, WHL. So I'm going to just take a step back now because I was so dedicated to this one group and I loved it. But now it's like, how do you just take all that love and work and just give it to a new set of kids that you don't know? So I'm going to take a bit here.
If we have time, on the panel the other day, you guys talked about Laine and not putting him out in the final minute. You and Elliot, I thought it was a really good conversation. You guys, surrounded the conversation well about should he be out there? He had been a dog, but he can shoot it in the net. There's so many different elements to that coaching. Do you like the X's and O's part or the personality management part?
Both.
Yeah.
I love both.
Yeah.
I love special teams. I love face-off plays first and foremost. I love structure plays, but then I love the relationships and the communication because I feel like the good coaches I've had, they can get through to me. And some of the coaches, I'm thinking of like this one guy right away. Like I didn't care what he said. I wasn't listening to this guy because I hated his delivery. I hated his body language. So I think with the Laine thing, it doesn't have to be a big deal to Laine if it's handled the right way. If Marty goes and talks to him today and says, hey, man, like you just weren't going. Like it's just one of those, you're still a big part of our team. You're still one of the best flank guys. Like fluff him a bit. Like you're still one of the best flank guys in the league. You got a great shot. We're going to need you. You're a huge part. But you just weren't going. So, I went with a couple other guys, but not like that's the way it should be handled. Yeah. And then Laine will be like, okay, like I'm still a stick player. It's just one game. Because you should be able to bench, and Newsy was talking about benching Kucherov back after he won the Hart. It shouldn't be a big deal to bench your top guy if he's just not going. Some nights you just don't have it.
God, I love that.
One period. Wham.
At least Berube didn't.
No, I know. We argue about it all the time, though. I feel
but it's got to get bad, though. Like, I think it has to be really bad to bench your star. And Laine, you can disagree with me, it was getting really bad, where he couldn't go a shift without a turnover.
So quickly, we know how you feel about Benoit's ranking. Where would you rank Elliot on being the 4th best analyst on any panel? Where would you rank him? Like
4th best on any panel?
Yeah, would he make your top 4 best on any panel?
By a sliver. If there was 4 panelists, yeah, by a sliver.
Can you just get him to do his nod up a little bit for me, please?
I don't get involved in the wardrobe. There's enough people, Deb and Fabienne,
control.
We have 3 people that come in for wardrobe, and it's not for me.
He is Kevin Bieksa, and you're going to get your fill of him tonight on Hockey Night in Canada. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Thank you, guys.
So much,
All right. We're back national next on The Real Kyper and Bourne Show. The Real Kyper and Bourne Show goes national. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, right across your Sportsnet platforms. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Rob Brown, former NHLer, covers the Edmonton Oilers, analyst for Ched. I hope he's got some answers for us.
Yeah, could use some.
One of those days where I just feel bad.
Feel bad.
It's like I'm like, Brownie.
But
come on, like
it's
not like
a fun time to talk about your team.
It's not like texting Shawnee Reynolds to come on, where it's just like
all they do
Jets
is win.
talk. Yeah, you know.
4 games on tap in the National Hockey League tonight. Scattered times again.
You love this.
I'm really liking this. 6:30 Eastern, Tampa Bay in Florida. Toronto Maple Leafs, Ottawa at 7. Vegas in Minnesota, 9 p.m. And Jets talk against the St. Louis Blues.
You love that
9:30.
That 6:30 puck drop. The chopper gets you home just in time
Yeah.
for puck drop, so you're ready to rock.
He jumps out above his house to land on the compound.
Perfect.
And parachutes into his seat.
20. It's not quite like that. Not quite like that.
Sounds good though.
So we left the jacket
Yes.
up, the Leaf jacket up.
Yes.
So you text me at 2:30.
Yeah, I forgot
to
to
bring a
text you.
jersey in,
forgot
and then
to
I sent
text
you a
you.
picture. I was at the desk,
You
and I'm like,
already
I don't have it.
Yeah.
And then I remembered I did put it in the car like a day and a half ago. So do you want it? It's
What?
I brought an old Hartford Whaler jersey.
Oh,
Come
my
on.
God.
So
Yes, let's
first
see
off,
it.
thanks to the people at Starter who sent us that sick Leafs jacket back there.
Let's see this
That's
thing,
pretty
kid.
high end. We'll have to raffle that off at some
Oh,
point.
my God.
Look at
Oh.
this kit.
Wow. If you're
Got
listening,
some blood
it's
here. Here, Sammy,
Does
go
it-
put it up.
Yeah, I
Does
got
it
it.
have blood on it? Pock marks. You got the boards.
Wow.
That is really nice.
That's pretty nice.
Hurricanes could never.
And it's the green, which we had a little early, and then Brian Burke went to the blue.
Was it Berkey went to the blue?
Yeah, it was Berkey. Yeah.
Berkey's
So there
done,
you go, Sammy.
He's done some jersey work over the years.
There you go.
That's a really cool jersey. I've been begging you to bring one in. There's 2 things I noticed about that jersey. First of all, I love that NHL 75 logo. I think that's such a cool logo.
Really good.
And that's the heaviest jersey ever.
Yeah.
Like, you're just sweating buckets in that thing.
100% real alpaca.
Yeah, like, jersey technology's really come a long
And
way.
it's got the fight strap, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, I always laughed, like Velcro.
Yeah.
Like, you got some of the biggest animals in the National Hockey League ready to rip your head off. And Velcro's going to keep the jersey from.
Yeah.
You know,
not
eventually
moving.
they added the button. Michael Haley, who he played in the NHL for some years, was on my team, and he used to come over and he'd like triple wrap the strap around the back of the pants, so your jersey was as tight as
Oh, it was
possible.
either a lace or plastic tape.
Right, you wanted the guy to grab it and there to be nothing. It just stuck to the.
yeah.
You
Remember
know?
Rob Ray with I'm getting naked in 2 seconds?
Yeah, he had like the equivalent of the snap pants, but a jersey. It just came off.
Is that when he was
Probert was like that
when
too.
he was beating up the fan? The guy in the
That's
bench
right too.
All right. We're going to welcome in Rob Brown momentarily, but I need your thoughts, guys, just in terms of Edmonton going into LA and essentially getting their lunches fed to them.
Now, pretty much everyone had their lunches fed to them in Los Angeles this year. The team lost 5 games in LA this year, but pretty disheartening to give up 12 goals. I think that's, you don't think of LA as a great offensive team. In fact, they're not a great offensive team.
Just 4 teams in the last 30 years have done that, given up 12 goals in their first 2 games.
What? Really?
That's what I put in the lineup, right? Did I do that or did you?
You think I would research that?
I don't know. That's from the NHL media. And
That's
everything.
crazy.
But
yeah.
You know,
I'm not going to sit here and say it's all Skinner's fault. It's defense, but he's a part of it. Anyway, we're going to get real answers from someone who knows much more than me.
Let's welcome in Rob Brown, former National Hockey Leaguer, covering the Edmonton Oilers. Brownie, I don't know where you want to start in terms of where you saw the Kings, where you saw the Oilers going into this series, and where you see them now. You tell me where you want to start.
Well, I think before the series started, I felt the Kings were a better team than they were last year. And the biggest reason is in net. Kyper, the season he had, he's a former Stanley Cup champion. So I felt that they were a better team because of their goaltending. I was shocked at how well Kuzmenko has played for them. I saw him at the end of the year. I thought that trade was just a throwaway trade at the time, but he's been fantastic. So this was a team that was going to be better. I didn't think the Oilers were as good a team as they were that went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. I think some of the losses over the course of the summer, and certainly the loss of Ekholm before the playoff series started, I felt that, okay, the Oilers aren't quite as good as they were last year. Having said all that, I still felt the Oilers had Leon and Connor. Mm-hmm. And I thought that would be enough for this team to win the series against an LA King team that in the back of their minds were probably thinking, can we get over this hump? But in the first two games, I remember Drew Doughty talked before the series, said, we are a very, very good defensive team. But if a team wants to run and gun, we have the ability to score goals. And what we've seen through two games is they do. Every time the Oilers have pushed, the Kings have found a way to answer. And they're getting production all through their lineup. And very rarely, and I've been now with the Oilers for 19 years, and I've done all of the games that Connor and Leon have been here. Very rarely can I say after a game, the opposition's best players were better than the Oilers' best players. But in game two, the Kempe, Kopitar, Kuzmenko line, it wasn't even close between them and the Oilers' best players. So the LA Kings fully deserve it of the 2-0 lead to start the series.
Even with, it going as badly as it has, the Oilers' decor is better than this. Is it not? It feels like there's still steps to be taken here where you're going to get a better version of this team at home.
I believe so. And I don't think it's just the decor. I mean,
no,
it's in game number one, the Kings were the better team all game long until McDavid went McDavid and ties the game up. But the end of the game, the Oilers give up a clear-cut 3-on-2, a turnover inside the zone, no back check, and no clearing in front of the net. And it's a 3-on-2 with a minute to go in a tied hockey game. That's a defensive miscue. Last night, the Oilers pull within 3-2, and then Arvidsson turns the puck over in his own zone, which it happens. He fanned on it. Puck goes into the corner. He follows Kulak in. So they have two guys going to one player. All of a sudden, you got Kempe wide open. And Kempe's not going to miss that. And everyone can say whatever they want about goaltending. Kempe is a goal scorer who had all the time in the world. That was an absolute bomb that he put past Skinner. Yeah. And again, that was on the forward. The Edmonton Oilers have just made bigger mistakes than the LA Kings. Way bigger mistakes. It's on the defensive core. It's on the forwards coming back. It just over and over. And here's the play right here. And all of a sudden they follow. And there's Kempe. And then in front of that, Emberson just standing by himself. So the mistakes are just too big. And we take a phone calls after our games here on Ched, and everybody's all over Skinner. But if that's McDavid or Draisaitl picking that puck up, the expectation is those guys are going to score. And there'd be no thought that the goalie could actually save it. So I believe the Oilers can and will be better on Friday. But are they good enough without Mattias Ekholm? And early in this year, we have a podcast here and we talk about it. I said that I believe the one player the Oilers cannot afford to get hurt long-term is Ekholm.
Right.
Connor and Leon, you lose Connor for a little bit, you got Leon. You lose Leon for a little bit, you got Connor. You lose Ekholm, you lose your entire defensive conscience. He's the guy that you put out on penalty kill, last minutes of period, when things are going sideways. And we've seen over the first two games with 12 goals against and 5 power play goals, how important Mattias Ekholm is to this team.
Is it tough to judge Evander Kane and Klingberg coming in now with the lack of activity prior? Is it even fair?
Well, I thought Klingberg was fine. Klingberg came in. I don't think he met the expectations of what they were hoping from him. And I mean, he's been gone a long time, and the number of surgeries he's went through, and I don't know if his skating is where it was, a few years ago. But I thought he was fine in game two. He made the best offensive play in the entire game, setting up Leon. So I don't think there's been any issue with him. I thought he was fine. And Kane, I mean, in my era, there's zero chance I'm taking 10 months off and coming into a playoff game and being effective at all. I think Kane can bring a physicality and intimidation. There might be a little rust on the hands, but he's a guy, and you would know as well as I do, Kyper, when Kane's on the ice, if you're an opposition player, you're looking. You're just over the shoulder. You're like, okay, where is he? And there's a little hesitation in your play, and there's a little quickness with your play, simply because you know that he's going to run you over. And when he hits you, he's not hitting you to separate you from the puck. He's hitting you to inflict as much damage as possible. So I thought Kane was fine, but I think the expectation of, can he be the Kane that scored, 15 goals or 14 goals in the playoffs? That expectation might be a little too high right now.
I hated the call on him too.
Yeah. I mean, it's playoff hockey. It should be okay.
Anyways.
So then I'll just add to that with the injured guys. Trent Frederick gets 10 minutes last night. Any thoughts on the returns from him?
I don't think he looks 100%.
Yeah.
The first game he played for the Oilers, 6 seconds into the game, you could see tweaked it. And this was when he first came back from injury. And he played 7 minutes that night, and he was favoring it. I've watched him in Boston. I know what he's capable of doing. He looks quiet out there. He looks a step behind, and I don't think he's 100%, and it's obvious. They need this Oiler team with the injuries they have and how good LA is. The players that are playing, they need to be at their top, and I don't think some of the players are physically at their top right now.
Rob, even with a healthy Ekholm, we've done it. I'm sure you guys have done it. It's been questioned throughout the season. Are they deep enough on the blue line? And they had a chance to get Cam Fowler and didn't want to give up a second-round pick. And then they obviously waited for Klingberg.
Yeah.
But, is it too early now to look back and question whether or not are people doing it now, or do they wait till the end of this season potentially to wonder if they were deep enough to begin with?
Oh, no, they're already questioning. There's been a lot of questions been thrown out about some. I mean, it goes all the way back to last summer, Broberg and Holloway, why they weren't signed before the offer sheets, and then why one of them at least wasn't retained. Klingberg was a Hail Mary. No one knew what you were going to get out of him. You were hopeful you would get something that resembled what he was, but you didn't know. Fowler would have been a much more known commodity because you can watch him play. The Oilers on the back end aren't as good as last year. I believe CC and Broberg are losses to this team, and they're trying to fill those spots. They are, and the problem with a loss of Ekholm, and if it's for long term, what the rumors are, they are one injury to a top four guy now from being catastrophic, because this is a team that right now is relying strongly on their top four. Mm-hmm. If a Nurse or a Bouchard or a Wallman goes down, now you're bringing in a Brown who played 4 minutes in game one, or a Stetcher who's not healthy, and now you're elevating other players. So yeah, the depth of the Oilers defense is being tested, and losing a guy that plays 24 hard minutes a night, you've watched, they've given up 12 goals in 2 games. They are bleeding grade A scoring chances. Skinner is taking the brunt of the blame, but this has not been a good defensive effort for the first 2 games. So yeah, there will be, if the Oilers do not move on past this round, this is not an easy market to play in, to GM in, to coach in. There will be second guessing, and it's already started.
So is there a world here? So the Oilers are just never done. We've seen them start the season 3-10, and we've seen them figure it out. We saw them go down 4-0 in game 1. You saw them figure it out. They just seem to be that you can't kill them easily. Is there a world where, they get back home, McDavid and Draisaitl are humming, the D's a little better, get a few more saves, and they can find their way back into this series?
Well, it's funny. You look at the 2 teams. One team, the Oilers come in injured. You've got all these question marks. No Ekholm. There's question marks in net. There's question marks on the back end, depth. And then you look at LA and the season they had, and everything was positive for them. They're a home team that wins all the time. Their goaltenders he has Hellebuck numbers, just not as many games. Everything's working for them. Yet I couldn't bet against Connor and Leon. I couldn't bet against the Oilers. And in the game one, they're down 4-1 at the end of the second period, and we're doing the radio broadcast. And I'm like, this. I was asked, do you think they're just trying to find momentum for game two? I'm like, no, they believe they're going to win the game. They honestly believe in that dressing room they're going to win the game. Last night, when it was 5-2, I'm thinking LA needs another goal if they think they're going to put this one away. Because at 5-2, you think Connor and Leon score a goal. It's 5-3. They get a power play. Well, there's 5-4. Now you pull your goalie, and there's no team better in the NHL at 6-on-5 than the Oilers. So, yes, I do believe the Oilers are still in this series. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl can win games by themselves.
Yeah.
Now, they may have to have a 5 or 6 point night to do it, but they will need a goaltender to have a big game. And you could see the body language on the bench last game. It is not good, but that body language can change very, very quickly if the Oilers come out. They're a team that where Connor in the first 5 or 6 minutes of a hockey game can have the Oilers up 2-0 and have the fans in it. That's what the Oilers need. They need their swagger back. They lost their swagger in the first 2 games.
For those of you that are watching our show, we just showed that type of body language, and it was really strong in Los Angeles, particularly around Connor and Leon. The shaking the head, the turning away at times. And I'm just wondering, like, maybe I've not watched Edmonton as much as you have. Has it been common at times? Like, I don't recall seeing that type of body language from these guys in the past.
It's been a while. I think the beginning of last season, when they really struggled out of the gate, that body language was there. Because I think it was confusion. They're like, hey, wait a second. We're supposed to compete for a Stanley Cup. And it eventually cost, a goalie his job in the National Hockey League and a coach his job. And then the others got their swagger back. They haven't had it this year because everything seemed to go well. And then they ran into injuries. And even in injuries, they still hung around there. They're a 100-point team. Even coming into the playoffs and everything looking favorable for LA finally coming over this hump, the Oilers still had swagger. And Connor McDavid, you guys are all talking about injuries. We're good. We're going to be fine. So any team that has 29-97 on it has the capability of winning any game. And I do believe that there's still that thought in the back of the LA Kings mind, until we win game 4, there's always that chance. But you saw it. You're showing it on your screen right now. Connor and Leon, the last 7 minutes of the game last night, the looks on the bench, and they kept going back to the bench. It was 2 players that looked perplexed at how are we here? The expectations were the Oilers were going to win 1, if not 2, when they went to LA. Coming home, getting hammered in game 2, giving up 12 goals. I don't think there's anyone in that dressing room that thought that could have happened.
So how much credit is due to the Kings? Like the way Kempe's played, I mean, incredible. Byfield's been good. They've had some really solid performances.
They have. They're a good
Their
team.
harmonica team. I don't know if you heard them. They were awesome.
Gene's interview.
Playing. Yeah. Oh, that was fantastic. The interview. I mean,
it was the best part of the night, I think, for Oiler fans.
Well, they're the Kate Smith of the 2020s right there. The LA Kings last year in the playoffs, and I was really critical of their coaching staff with their penalty killing. They went with an incredibly passive penalty kill against an Oilers power play, and the Oilers power play picked them apart. You're giving Connor and Leon all the time in the world to make the perfect play, and they embarrassed the Kings. This year, they're aggressive. So the things that the Kings have changed, they're aggressive on the penalty kill, and they will get burned for a good chance, but they're at least forcing the Oilers to have to make quick choices and execute perfectly. And if they don't, the Oilers aren't able to create anything. So that's been a very big positive. The LA Kings changed their power play late in the season by going with 5 forwards. And, well, from what we've seen thus far, it's working. And the best part for LA King fans is their best players have been their best players. Kempe has always lit up the Oilers, and he's all world right now. Kopitar is one of my favorite players in the world to watch. He just never seems to make a mistake. And then they have all of these fast, aggressive players on the wings. You got a Fogle, you got a Brown, you got a Fiala, or you got Oh, Moore. You got these players that just continue to push forward. They're going north. There's no east-west with this team. And I think that's what they learned playing against the Oilers in the past few years. If you are going to beat the Oilers, you have to be aggressive. So every time there is a turnover, push it forward, push it north right away, and try to catch them and forecheck the Oilers' defense. Last year, they allowed the Oilers to carry the puck out of the zone, and they all waited in the neutral zone. Well, eventually the Oilers figured that out, and the LA Kings got nothing going offensively after that. So the LA Kings, give them credit. They are playing a different style, and they're playing it to a T thus far, and they have a goaltender that's making the saves he needs to make. And this is one of the things, and I think it was Mark Spector wrote it here. If you switch goalies after a game in the first two games, Kemper played for Edmonton and Skinner played for LA, the LA Kings would probably still be up 2-0. It's just the grade A chances that the Edmonton Oilers have given up have been too many for any goaltender to be able to keep the Oilers in the game.
You control the middle of the ice, you have a very good chance to control the game. Kopitar, Byfield, Philip Deneau, up the middle, all have contributed goals. Where is Ryan Nugent Hopkins?
Well, I mean, good point. The Oilers in the third period of game one decided to go with Connor and Leon together. And we've seen in the past, they call it going nuclear here. It's hard to contain them. The problem when you do that is you now leave your second, third, and fourth lines to fend for themselves. So you need an RNH to be able to carry a line. And what's happened here in the first two games is when Connor and Leon are on the ice, they tilt the ice. But when they're not, the LA Kings, it's almost like we're survived. We just have to survive that minute with 97 and 29. Once we survive that minute, now we go forward. And then we have 3.5 minutes where we can dominate. Survive a minute, 3.5 the other way. And the Oilers need more out of other players. They need more. Adam Henrique had a great game physically, but I mean, the Oilers aren't, physicality isn't the problem for the Oilers. Getting in on the forecheck, getting sticks on pucks, creating turnovers. So they need more out of Nugent Hopkins, out of Hyman, out of Henrique. And actually, you can go through a long list. When you give up 12 goals in 2 games, there's a lot of players that need to be better. And the thing, as being here with the Oilers now for 19 years, I've seen what they're capable of. They haven't reached their bar and haven't come close to it this year, but they need to reach it on Friday night, because this is an LA King team. I mean, the odds don't go well for you if you're down 3-0, and the LA King team will just continue to grow more and more confident. And I don't think you want to have to beat a very good LA team 4 games in a row. So Friday, I mean, the series is on the line.
Must win Friday night, game 3 in Edmonton. Brownie, always a pleasure having you on the show, man. Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. Hopefully things go well here on Friday night so that we can do this again next week.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man. We happy to have you back.
Rob Brown.
Cheers, guys.
Rob Brown, former National Hockey Leaguer.
It's really tough to have someone on to talk about the Oilers when things have gone not well, right?
But
I can't quit him.
We do a leave show for an hour.
I know. Well, that's fair enough.
I can't quit him.
The Oilers.
I can't quit him.
You just think they're not done.
I love Leon and Connor as much as anybody, and I understand what they're capable of doing, but they don't play defense.
It's really hard to look at the way they've played and the way they're constructed without Ekholm and say they're going to be okay. It's hard to confidently say that.
They can't be in 2 places at the same time on the ice.
I mean, with the way they've played through the first 2 games, Ekholm may be a Hart candidate next year.
Oh, geez.
Like, I mean, in terms of importance to their team, it slots everybody in. And the clips of Nurse and Bouchard.
It's like just the way we said.
Man.
Nurse standing on the wrong side, on the Byfield goal.
Yeah.
Such easy access to the net. I mean,
Bouchard letting him walk down Main Street. He's guarding against the
I was going to say, like, the way the Leafs added Carlo and it made Riley better. Ekholm makes Bouchard better.
Yes.
So, when he's in, he doesn't just give you one guy, he gives you 1.5 guys, of improvement.
Game time?
It's game time.
Whoa. Yes, it is. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. As I open this up here, interesting tonight in Ottawa. This line, does it surprise you that the Toronto Maple Leafs, with a 2-0 series lead going into their second home building in Ottawa, are a underdog tonight on the betting lines. Does that surprise you?
Yes.
When was the last time they won there?
Been a
I
while.
don't know.
It's been a while.
Got to be a factor.
Yeah. Plus 110 tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Plus money on a team that's up 2-0 in a series. The Ottawa Senators are minus 130. So
It's not that I think the Leafs are more likely to win than Ottawa, but I just don't want Ottawa at minus money.
Yeah.
Down 0-2 in a
Yeah.
series.
The other games on the ice tonight, one starting at 6:30. The Florida Panthers in Tampa, slight underdogs, plus 100, plus money on the Florida Panthers, who looked really, really good in game one. You could do worse than plus 100 on the Panthers there.
No Cirelli in Tampa.
Game time decision.
Okay.
Tampa is minus 120. Vegas, the series shifts to Minnesota. Minnesota, big underdogs on home ice against the Vegas Golden Knights, plus 140 tonight.
Ooh,
Vegas
like
is
that.
minus 165. And the Winnipeg Jets going to St. Louis, looking for a 3-0 series lead. Minus 120, the Winnipeg Jets in St. Louis. The Blues are plus 100 on the other side of the money line. So 4 good games tonight. Lots to be determined. Looking forward to another great couch night.
So hard to beat any good team in the NHL 4 straight times.
Very hard.
St. Louis, Ottawa, you name it, Edmonton. Really hard to beat a team 4 times in a row.
Anyways, that was game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. And then we got Marty Turco tee us up what's going on in Dallas, how they're doing it without the likes of Robertson and Miro Heiskanen, their number one defenseman.
It's the old guard here. It's Ben scoring.
Yep.
It's Sagan with the OT winner.
Before we go to break, just a little kind of question for you, that if the Oilers don't find a way to come back and make it a series,
Okay.
What are you getting at, Mr. Kypreos?
Connor needing a new contract and eligible to sign one as early as July 1st, feeling as confident as before when they were contending for a Stanley Cup, his chances of signing, and would it alter your feeling on whether or not Connor signs as early as July 1st?
Leon signed. And to me, that was the biggest thing the Oilers could do, because they're a package deal. And once he signs, I can't see Connor leaving him at the altar, being like, see ya.
I want to sit here and be like, controversial and say like, oh yeah, like I'd love him to leave. And I would kill for him to leave, especially to Toronto, obviously. But I don't think it hasn't changed my thought at all.
Okay.
You?
I don't have them married like my good buddy here.
I've got them walking up the aisle.
I know. But
the priest hasn't got there yet, or?
Well, the ring bearer's still in the back, waiting to come down.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it. I think it would give him a lot to think about.
Yeah, they can't go out like an ugly 4-0 way.
If they get swept, then we're talking. It's a different story. But I still think I'm such an idiot. I still think they're coming back. That's like Brownie. He was tricked by them too, I guess. But I just have a hard time believing they're going to go quietly.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah. I think they can win a game here.
A
Friday
game?
night. Well, just to get them back in the series.
Yeah.
They can win the game.
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
But I do think it's tough when you look at the offseason they had and you see Fogle blowing by your D. And the Oilers fans have heard that a ton.
Listen, we're going to have plenty of time to talk about this. But I do believe that if they go as quietly as they have in the first 2 games, then, there's a lot of talk about where this team is heading and how quickly can they get back to a Stanley Cup final, because as Brownie,
all of a sudden, Hyman's
as Brownie
older,
said,
Nugent's
as
older.
Brownie said, they are not, we all agree they're not as good as they were last year.
No.
Definitely not even close. I mean, Arvidsson got a multi-year deal. He's there next year.
Arvidsson has a no-move clause.
Janmark's multi-year. Oh my God, what?
We should go, by the way.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go. Marty Turco when we return to the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, and now somewhere deep on the 18th hole, it's bring in Marty Turco, former NHL special assistant to the president of the Dallas Stars. Oh my gosh!
From the pro shop again.
Can you just turn around and buy me something real quick at the pro shop?
Yeah, do you like some Dratty? We got some Peter Millar gear. Maybe some G4. You look at a G4.
Hey, seriously though, the best part of retiring, isn't it? Where you are right now on the golf course? I'm
actually not. This is our office, which is / little pro shop. We got guys on the simulator over here. I said I was talking to really famous guys in Canada. They're like, we don't care. It's playoff time. Like, come on, it's serious here.
It is. So, you look at the way the Dallas Stars finished the season, and then the injuries, and then Colorado made all these trades, and yes, you guys traded for Rantanen as well. But did anybody really see the fight in the Dallas Stars now to be up in this series this early?
I'd say Jim Nill, Scott White, Mark Janko,
and you. No,
Brad Alberts. No, I was. It was tough to watch. I mean, finish 7 straight losses, open up with that game at home, which was pretty bleak. Who knew? Who knew we'd be up 2-1 with a couple overtime scrappy wins? I mean, we're built like that. We wish we had a few guys back in the lineup, but no, I'm serious. I was really nervous. I really don't get nervous this time of year anymore. I just really look forward to it. It's the best thing in sports ever. Our team's in it. We've had some great runs, but I'm dead serious. I did not feel good, and it's still a little. I mean, we've got a tough opponent. We're not playing our absolute best, and we're not even close to our best, I don't think. But we're up 2-1, and in a tough building, in a tough place, and they got the captain back last night. So a few days off with some altitude training, or whatever you call it, would be beer drinking in our days, Kyper. But now it's sleep and eat and a little more training. So it should be fun Saturday night.
How about the old guys? Like pretty impressive performances from guys like Ben and Seguin. These guys still putting in the work. They can still do it.
Well, they better. They're still on some good long-term contracts.
Earning money.
Earning money. Well, not right now. That's the best part of the playoffs, right? Guys aren't making their money. They've already earned it. And I'll say this, last year, Jamie's deal, he's playing great. We do have a deep team. We don't need him to play 20, 21 minutes anymore. But I think he's, because not just because he's a captain, but he's a leader on the ice in terms of effort and putting pucks in right places, finishing checks. He has a big body, but he's a great dude. And, Segi to come back, only really play one game, kind of get, pushed around a little bit, but he's in there. He's in the mix. He's putting pucks in places too. And they get a chance in overtime, delivers. The old guys, they are doing it, and we'll need them, right? We'll definitely need our younger guys to pick up the bulk of it, but it's great to see those guys producing and eating minutes and playing well.
You're watching and listening to Marty Turco, former National Hockey League special assistant to the president of the Dallas Stars. So you're Ottinger, and you just stare down the barrel of a gun with McKinnon and Makar. Like, in your day, what was the comparable that, you just saw 2 or 3 guys coming at you and you're like, oh my God.
Well, to be honest, like, I think just look at Colorado, when I turned pro, I probably wish I had McKinnon and these guys. I mean, Makar and others, I mean, they're a great team, and it's tough. I mean, they'll have breakaway by Nichushkin, put on a 3-decker, but you're talking Forsberg Sakic, one of the best duos of all time. I mean, of all time winners, and they were loaded. I mean, you had Hayduk on the wing. I mean, those, they started at Pepsi Center in Denver. You're like, oh gosh, here we go. But it was a ton of fun. It's those moments in your career, you look back and you're like, man, you got to play against those guys. That was a blast. Detroit was heavy. They were rocking. Their third line when they won their first cup of the most recent era was Brett Hull, Datsuk, and Zetterberg. That was their third line. There was just guys that teams were just good. I'm talking pre-salary cap era too, right? it was that long ago. But those guys were playing, at that time. So I had some guys that, I was like, all right, this is great. I mean, we had we're in the Pacific division. San Jose was always great. Thornton, Chichu, who had 50 goals one year, Pavelski later on, and Marlowe, had Roenick for a couple of years. Those guys were just, there's a well-oiled machine. Perry, Getzlaff, and Timu, Andy McDonald, and Anaheim. It was always fun. I'd rather play against the good ones than teams, without it. So I think for Jake's sake, I think he also looks at the other end and says, all right, I got a rookie down there. Even though I'm young, I like my chances, and I've played plenty against these guys, have a lot of success. So bring it on.
So what have you seen out of Andre? He allowed 4 goals on 24 shots in a 5-1 loss in game 1. Since then, how have you seen him respond?
Well, I know it's not the Toronto Maple Leafs, so you probably didn't watch it, Kyper, but he was fine, and he was fine in game 1. A couple bicycle kicks over his shoulder. He's good. He's tracking the puck awesome. We're fortunate to have another solid backup this year. Let him, not have to eat 65 games this year. So he's ready. He's ready to go. He looks fantastic. We're going to need him. We're really going to need him on Saturday, I think. I think this is going to be a game where you're going to need a goal in the first period, maybe 2 and possibly all 3, just to have a chance to win. So I think he's good. He's tracking it well. He's moving fantastic. He makes it look easy out there. Never does too much, which is, a skill set in its own. So he's good. I'm proud of him. He's ready to rock, and we need him.
Probably tough, even as competitive as you may be or the team may be, not to have a moment of appreciation for Landeskog making his return after 3 years, gets back in there. Maybe you were hoping it would be 3.5 years, but still a nice moment here in the crowd last night.
No, that's. I mean, I think that's tongue in cheek, but I saw him in the bathroom in game 2 outside the suites, and I didn't know if he was. Actually, at that point, I didn't know he took warm up. I was entertaining, doing my job, and I didn't know that at that point it was in our building, and I saw him, and I was like, hey, I don't know when you're coming back, but just good luck, man. Like, yeah. I can't even imagine. That's that's 1,000 games, 3 years. You don't wish that on anybody. He's a great person. He's a great leader, champion. And we want to play him. I'm not saying we want to play him right now, like you said, but we do. If you're going to beat them, let's beat them at their best. And I thought he looked fantastic last night, coming out, laying the body, making plays for missing that much time off. I was really impressed. And let's see if he can continue that kind of battle-tested attitude. But if there's really anybody in today's game that can do it, it's Gabriel. And so I'm honestly, I can't have empathy. I've never been in that position. I didn't miss a game in my 30s, other than 37, 38, and 39 when I was, retired. They're like, you're no longer good. Just go play some golf there, big guy. Other than those years, you take your health for granted. I know he does it. To see his kids there was a really great moment. And the Colorado crowd, like always, really appreciated it. And then they're good hockey fans, similar to what we have here in Dallas. They get it. And I was glued in from the beginning. I would make sure I was watching it. And it was because of him, not just because the Stars were playing. It really was a neat moment.
Got to ask you about Rantanen. We saw a real strong play in the neutral zone that led to the game-winning goal last night. But just the overall adjustment that he's gone through. I mean, a guy of that stature playing on multiple teams in such a short period of time can't be easy.
I can't imagine either, Kyper. I don't have that in my experience to really draw from it. I played for different teams, but start of the year, not mid-season, not teams I won a cup with, not teams. Just it's a crazy scenario. But there's moments he's trying a little too hard, in my opinion. But that's the way he plays too. Like, he's sneaky, he lifts sticks, he gets the puck back. He's thinks offensively. He's a big dude. And he does a lot. He's out there a lot for us. He plays. So the chemistry is tough because he wasn't here all year in the power play. Was playing on the line with Robertson for a little bit. He's not in the lineup. And so you see some inconsistencies within his game, whether he's just in the wrong spot, but you can see the talent that he uses. And I can't imagine the pressure he's under. He wants to win more than anybody, right, against that team with what transpired during the season. And we want him to for Dallas. We believe in the guy. We locked him up for a long time for a lot of money, and so we're gonna need him at some point to make some plays. Maybe it's only 2 points, 3 points for the rest of the series, but he's gonna need to do something to help us win this series. And I think he'll be a big difference maker, either way. But hopefully it's on the positive side for the Dallas side.
Looking forward to Game 4, Marty. Go back to swinging taking some good cuts again.
Yeah, we had a little storm today, so we had to bring it indoors, Kyper. I don't know if you guys are up there. Are you still at National? Where are you playing these days? I don't know if they kicked you out yet or not. But
Rosedale, baby, Rosedale.
Oh, Rosedale.
But
I played Rosedale.
We were looking at pictures of Freestone. I can tell you that before we had this chat.
Well, you can't find it online. It is a hidden gem. We're starting our course, and we'll be playing the Big Boy Island course next year. We just had a couple PGA Tour guys out there, and they were just ogling over it. So, if you invite me back one more time this year, I'll probably get you guys a potential invite. How's that?
Buddy, we're all over
Book
that.
Book the flight.
We're gone. We're not even finishing the show right now. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Yeah, good seeing you guys.
God, you look good, man. You can
Thanks,
still
Marty.
play,
Appreciate
maybe.
Stop it. Tell me more.
Marty Turco, one of the greats.
I love the idea that they have some golf course that's like Freemasonry or something, or the Illuminati.
That's
you
two
can't find
invites right now because we got Ryan Smith.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, we got to do a U.S. tour, a golf tour.
I mean, that's an ultimate rich guy tour. Like maybe you get the private jet, fly us into Utah, fly us into Texas.
Make content out of it and have someone else pay for it.
That seems like.
So are we down to like a pick'em series right now, Dallas and Colorado?
I'd say that's a great way to put it because you think Colorado's the better team, right? I mean, I do.
Robertson's a huge blow. How about Mason Marchment's
One hand holds him off, has the patience
on
to
the
look for a
game-winning
play.
goal? Sammy,
Short.
former Toronto Maple Leaf.
Don't love the short. I know he's in tight, but it's the middle of the net there.
You think Mulligan would have?
Mulligan, I don't think he has.
Play?
In the Swiss A League.
Is that the trade?
Yes.
Was that the trade?
That was straight up.
Mason Marchment for
straight up.
Mulligan.
That's a Dubas masterclass right there.
That's actually Hall of Fame.
He learned from
That's
that.
one of the worst all
Dubas
time.
learned from that.
But I do like the play. I mean, you talk about moments for Rantanen. He just, bullies Drouin in the offensive zone where he's trying to kind of spin it around, just wins the puck off him, lifts the stick, kicks it up, gets it in deep, gets an assist on the game-winning goal. That's got to feel great for Rantanen.
I've had enough Rantanen slander out there.
He's so good.
He's so good. He's big. He's bully. He's got a great vision. He can finish. He's going to get 90 points next year. No problem.
Can you imagine that Mitch Marner and Mikko Rantanen got traded for each other?
No.
What a world that would have
It
been.
would be mayhem. It would be take mayhem in the studio.
I don't know if either team's better. I don't know what it looks like. It's just an insane what if. Insane.
It's our world right now around these type of players, though, is like they've got to physically see the numbers or else they're just not getting the job done or they're not earning their money. Like it's just about the numbers.
Right.
And
when it's not.
I think that play that he made in the neutral zone, it ain't sexy.
No.
Right?
Playoff hockey.
But you're glad he made it. And if they find a way, if Dallas finds a way to beat Colorado,
Right.
and this guy's only got like 2 points
Money's
in
worth.
7 games
Money's
or
worth.
3 points in 7 games, no one's going to feel better than this guy, Rantanen, that he just stuck it to his old team.
And then you get potentially you said yesterday Heiskan's maybe not close, but Heiskanen maybe second round, maybe Robertson. You start adding those guys into that lineup.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. If you pull out a Hail Mary series win here, all of a sudden it could get real tricky for the rest of the West.
Jets and
But not the Jets, because all the Jets do is win.
yeah, they play tonight.
They do?
Are you expecting them to win like they always do?
As I said, good teams are tough to beat 4 times in a row. I think, whether it's overtime, whether it's whatever, I don't see this. No team is winning by 3 tonight.
Yeah.
It's
Close game.
I'm not sure I can be any more impressed on by a team that's down 2-0 than I am for St. Louis. I think St. Louis played exceptionally hard.
In both games, they were
And
awesome.
They're close. They're not better. They weren't better. They didn't deserve to win because Winnipeg was better. But they were good too.
The one take I think I have reached is that the crowd in Winnipeg, the size of the building, the whiteout, elevated the look of those games to the point where it feels like it was so much better.
Yes.
Going back and forth between in Washington to in this series.
Different sport.
It felt like a different sport. But was that crowd related? Was that energy related? Like,
Great question.
the frenzy of that building made it feel like such a different level. I'm curious if it looks like that in St. Louis too, because it did look like the best played hockey of the first round.
Yeah, and just the hits in that series. In the first, it really does feel.
It probably was legitimately the best.
Speaking of the Habs, Habby's in trouble.
They were lucky to have that look as close as it was last
They got
night.
leaned on last night.
Montevo was so good.
He was
And
awesome.
he gave them a chance to steal that game.
Yeah.
They just couldn't do it.
Now, again, you guys know how I feel about the officiating, but Caulfield has a pretty good argument that there should have been a penalty called
Agree.
on him.
Yep.
Like, this is where, the officials there's a fine line. And we're also mentioning that tonight, Toronto and Ottawa and Stolars and Ridley Gregg and the potential of things escalating there in front of the crease. But you watch, there's going to be an early penalty, and it won't be that pretty. It'll be because they're sending a message that we're not going to have that exchange again.
I like that take. They're going to try to nip tonight in
I
the
thought
bud.
I thought it was well officiated game too. They let him play. There wasn't many penalties. I liked it.
But you can't
Let that happen.
you can't let it get out of hand, and you can't give everybody a credit card now to have a whack back and forth.
Right. Temperature has been taken up in Leafs ends, and I think, the early interest from the refs will be a no.
So
We're
you
not having one of those games.
You think there was some meetings at the league about that video?
100%.
Yeah.
There is never not a meeting.
Yeah.
They got a lot of meetings over there.
Who was it? So Carolina's goalie or the Devils goalie threw the same chop as Stolars did, but he hit his own player.
Yeah.
And injured his own player.
Yes.
Like, still, it's not game 6 or 7 now.
Yeah.
We're still early enough
Tone
where
setting time.
they can just, hey, boys, we let you play in the sandbox there, and, it kind of got ugly at the end, but, like, we're watching you now. That's what's happened between game 2 and game 3.
In Ottawa, Zetterlund has been moved up. He's going to get more opportunity. Perron and Cousins are on the line together with Gaudette in the middle. That is a
Watch your knees.
really good, greasy fourth line. Really good fourth line.
Keep your knees tucked.
5-on-5, it was pretty obvious.
We'll see if Zetterlund can bring a little pop to that. That's a fast.
Sens fans like him. They've been asking for this.
Tampa Bay make this thing 1-1?
Hope so.
Yeah.
I do. I hope so.
That didn't sound very confident.
I'm not. I said yesterday that they're going to get swept.
Florida in game 1 shook me.
Yes.
It shook my belief in what I thought I knew
About
Florida.
fading.
Yeah, I thought they were on
They
the
had
way
the fade
out.
going.
They were hurt. They were losing. Things were kind of. Game 1, they looked so good.
That puck drop is in a half an hour. 7 o'clock, Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators. 9 p.m. Eastern, Vegas and Minnesota, Winnipeg and St. Louis, 9:30 Eastern. Watch them all. Sometimes they say pick your game. No, watch them all.
I think you can say multi-view into your Rogers remote and watch them all at once.
Really?
I think that's real.
I'm going to try that tonight.
Okay.
Except I'm just going to watch the Leafs game. I lied.
Busy day on our show. Our thanks to Kevin Bieksa, who's getting ready for Hockey Night in Canada and their pregame show. Rob Brown and Marty Turco. Have a great night, everybody. We're back tomorrow.